everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the ENVELOP Podcast. I hope you're Web3 and DAO lovers and NFT fans. And this is going to be the quite easy episode for you because I'm using Crypto MC. And I'm having Dave Heavyside. He is the founder and head of product of Stadius. And Stadius is an NFT rewards platform that enhances the fan experience in behalf of brands in sports and entertainment. It looks quite easy. I would say this is a project which aims to connect fans, loyal fans, and brands via NFT. Looks like a customer-related program. Maybe I'm mistaken, so we gotta know more. So, Dave, great to have you on my podcast.
Yeah, great to be here. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to join you and talk about all things NFT and crypto.
Definitely. So I prefer to start with a personal story. You are not looking like a blockchain geek, man. You see, you are the creative person, marketing brands, and so on and so forth, and that's quite easy to understand for non-crypto people, I would say. So what's your personal story in blockchain space? How did you get there? What were your main incentives? And are you satisfied to be in the blockchain space?
Yeah. So my personal background is I come from the advertising and graphic design side of things. So I've worked in advertising and graphic design for probably about 15 years. I've done everything from digital design, website design, worked in publishing, owned and bought and sold magazines. So I've got a really wide background, I guess, across a lot of creative industries. And then about, I would say, probably about 2016, 2017, I was working in a digital agency here on the Gold Coast in Australia. And one of my colleagues introduced me to Bitcoin and said, "Hey, have you seen this thing called Bitcoin?" And I was really intrigued. I'm sort of a bit of a, I used to game as a kid and, grew up playing Nintendo and all of that. So I was pretty interested in technology the whole time. And this kind of got my interest as a digital currency. And so he sent me some and I've held it in a wallet and just sort of dabbled in it. Then I bought Ethereum not too long after that. And then I've just sort of watched the space. I never really got deep into it because I was really focused on sort of my work. And sort of in that time, I started as a creative director here at an agency called Make. And as part of that role as creative director, we spent a lot of time creating brand activations for the major brands partners we were working with. So that would predominantly entail working with those brands for activating them at large events. So some of the events that we worked at were the Australian Open, the Melbourne Cup here that you might be familiar with, which is the big horse racing event in Australia, the Formula One we've done some work with. And what we did really was the brands would come to us and say, we want a presence at these events. How can we activate our brand and how can we get fans engaging with our brand at these events? And that could be anything from a large container bar. So we work predominantly in the alcohol and beverage space. I should probably preface that. So a lot of the brands that we work with are large beer brands and drinks brands. So they would really just want to provide the best experience for any of the fans that came along, and we would build bars and kind of really cool activations. And that got me really thinking, and the team here at Make really thinking about how we could introduce some digital technology along the way to kind of help, create a better fan experience, a different fan experience. I think for a long time here in Australia, particularly, we are a little bit behind, I guess, in terms of where probably Europe and the US are at with some of their activations and how the brands really engage the consumers over there. So what we were trying to do, I think, is look for some digital solutions which we could plug into our brand activations and bring them to life a little bit better. So this kind of parallel happened for me where I still had my interest in crypto and was watching that space. And then we were searching for a digital solution at the same time. And probably about 18 months ago was about when, I guess, the NFT craze started to pile on. So everyone sort of is aware of that story, I guess, with, first CryptoPunks and then Bored Apes bringing it to the mainstream. And then I guess this awareness piece and the, all of the updates and upgrades to all of the, the Ethereum protocols that allowed NFTs to do different things, and Envelope itself then building on that as well. We saw a really big opportunity to leverage what I guess the NFTs could do within brand experience, and we sort of started to pull that together. And we got talking to our brand partners about 12 months ago about how they would attack the space, and if they had any appetite to go into NFTs or into crypto. And at the time, it was a bit before we saw these large announcements of crypto.com sponsoring the NFL and all of the big stadiums in America and the NBA partnerships and things like that. So there was a sort of a bit of a communication and an education phase that we needed to go through with the brands. But over time, that's become a lot easier. And so about 6 months ago, then we launched Stadius out of the Make, the agency, and we spun that off into its own business. And I've been full-time in Make now for about 6 months. Full-time in Stadius now for about 6 months, and really driving, I guess, the next evolution of Stadius and how we're going to use NFTs to create a better fan experience for brands and fans.
So the idea of Stadius, how did you come up with, I do understand that you understand the problems of the current markets, and I am imagining that you understand a lot of problems in different areas of brands. You are not specializing in, I would say, every brand may be connected with their fans via NFT. It's quite general concept. So how did you come up with the idea of Stadius, and specifically what market existing problems in setting up the customer loyalty and retention of customers and so on and so forth does Stadius aim to solve? How do you define it?
Right. So what we would find, the problem that the brands were having was that they would spend quite large amounts of money, and they would have quite big budgets on these activations that we were carrying out for them, that we were executing for them. But as soon as that event stopped, and as soon as the activation wrapped up, there were very little metrics around what the customers did next. Like, there was no really way outside footfall to measure the ROI of the activation or the success. And then we didn't really know or have a really good handle on, if you serve so many drinks at a particular bar and serve so many people, like where they would go next. Do they continue to trial the product or drink the product or buy it here? Or and so what we saw with NFTs was a way to, if you engaged a consumer at the point of purchase during an activation and rewarded them with an NFT that would then allow them to perhaps redeem, a free beverage down the track or a piece of merchandise, whether it be a hat or a beanie, just a kind of this reward mechanism, which you could then have on yourself in your Stadius wallet and then use at another venue within sort of that ecosystem that they like to sort of put together. It was a way that we could see that we could both reward the consumer and track their behavior post-event. And so that was really appealing to brands because they haven't had that kind of access before. And that was the biggest problem I think that we're solving for brands. And I think that what the fans will enjoy is the constant interactions of the brands actually incentivizing them to engage further in their fan journey. So working with either their football club or an event they like and continue to attend, there's lots of ways and lots of exciting things we can do around the tokenization of rewards. That the mind kind of goes, wow, like once you understand that you can sort of the composability of NFTs and what you can do with them, and to incentivize consumer behavior, it's quite exciting. So that's sort of where we're at.
Yeah, a month ago, I recorded an episode of the podcast with guys from Blockbar. This is a startup from the United States, and these guys connected alcohol luxury brands with NFTs. This is not the same you do. They made NFT a sort of digital certificates for the physical bottles. You buy an NFT and your bottle is stored somewhere, and you may redeem this bottle whatever you want, or you may not do it for a while. You do understand the main idea. So the question I want to ask them: was it hard to talk to brands to explain them what the hell is NFT and why do they need NFT at all? Was it hard to you to onboard brands to explain what the hell is NFT? Why do they need it to set a customer loyalty? And if not, how many brands have you already onboarded in Stadius to now?
Yeah, I guess so. The first part of that question, the initial conversations were definitely an education process. There was a wariness, there was an excitement when we were talking to brand managers or to sponsorship teams about how we wanted to use NFTs. But a lot of the times we spent a lot of time educating. So getting them to understand outside what a 10,000K PFP project, for example, how did that the underlying technology of what an NFT is, how did that actually apply to them? So the education phase for us was pretty extensive early on. I think that as time's gone on in the space and over the last 12 months, I guess seeing brands or big rights holders such as the NFL and the NBA activate in the crypto space and onboard these crypto sponsors. And even here in Australia, we've got SwiftX, which is a local exchange here, sponsoring some of the local teams in the AFL. There's an awareness piece that's happening, and so we're finding that we need to educate less and less. But it was definitely difficult in the start because just to try and separate, I guess, what was happening in the mainstream media around the pump and dumps and the flipping and this kind of idea that NFTs were just a mechanism for creating value out of thin air, and trying to get them to think more about the technology and less about how it's being applied today, and more about how it can be applied over the next 5 to 10 years. Sorry, and then the second part of that question, just remind me that one.
The second part was how many brands have you already onboarded in Stadius?
Yeah, so we've been really lucky. One of the clients that we've had, Lion, have been with us for a number of years, and so they have backed us sort of early on, and their portfolio of brands includes brands like Forex, which is a famous beer brand here in Australia, but then also they have the porridge rights for international brands such as White Claw, Heineken, and a few of the other sort of more well-known beverage brands too. So that they're helping us with our trial and getting it off the ground. So and then we're in active talks with some of the other beverage brands in Australia here too. So we're starting small, but with strong brands, which is quite exciting. So,
the one great idea came to me, and now in my mind, one of my friends, they created the metaverse for alcohol brands. They called it Beerverse, and you said about beer brands. I should connect you with them. Maybe you'll create something interesting. I will share this episode for them, and this is a good idea. I love the idea. I'm a beer lover too, and NFT connected with beer. That seems to be good. So, how Stadius works in general? You have 3 types of tokens. The first are redeemables. The second are collectibles, and the third are wearables. Please explain the media, how will it be working from the customer perspective, from the fan perspective? Why should he collect that?
Sure. So we break them up into 3 categories because the underlying technology and the blockchains that we'll use are likely going to be different for each of those categories. And that's the primary reason to break them up. So redeemables are your low value items, but high frequency. And so what we require there is a solution, a blockchain solution that is obviously low transaction fees and high throughput. So we're currently building that on Solana as our proof of product, but there's also, so we're chain agnostic. We're really looking to fit the correct solution for the correct, to the correct network here. So the redeemables are your items like a free beer or a free hat or any kind of other reward mechanism which you can distribute at scale. And during an event, say if there's a 50,000 seat stadium and you want to give away 10,000 tokens, well, being able to distribute those tokens quickly and easily, and then have the patrons redeem those tokens either within the stadium themselves or the surrounding venues for whatever it might be. That has to really happen quickly and seamlessly and cheaply. So Solana fits that for now. We've also explored other chains, and we're in talks with a couple other ones at the moment to see if that also the solution fits there. And then, so that's the redeemables aspect of it. So that's where we're starting. That's what our MVP is built around. It's really quite easy to distribute tokens through our platform, have the fan either redeem those tokens through a QR code or inputting one of their 6-digit codes, and then they can quite simply go and scan that at a bar or at a venue, and that code will be redeemed. Then the collectible side of things is more, I guess, what the general kind of NFT that you're seeing now. So whether it's a NBA Top Shot style collectible card or a PFP project or some one-of-one art or a trophy or things that are generally higher value but lower throughput will sit in the collectibles. And we can see brands leveraging those in special moments, whether it's grand final wins. The Australian Open just recently did one where they had tennis balls that you could collect for special moments. And execution platforms like that, that's where we'll sort of hold the collectibles. And then on the wearables side of things, it's tapping into that metaverse. And that's a little bit down the track for us, but we are exploring that space quite early because we think that there's a definite crossover there between the younger fans in particular, and skinning their items in things like Fortnite and Minecraft, and then bringing that kind of the skins from a football club. They might want to create a skin of one of their jerseys, for example, and then that can be applied whether it's onto an avatar through something like Ready Player Me, or even build a skin for Minecraft or Fortnite and have that as a token pillar as well. So a little bit different technologies, but they all play in the same space, and they all support each other from a fan experience, because fans like to collect, they love to collect things that matter to them as a fan and bring them closer to the team or the player that they're a fan of. And they also like to have this ability to sort of show that off and flex that with the wearables, and then obviously the high frequency redeemable items to reward them for either attending an event or engaging with a brand. So it rounds out our offering, and then we're really just at the early phase of the redeemables at the moment. So,
well, from a technical perspective, if I'm not mistaken, you are building a sort of multi-chain wallet for having NFTs to show them up. Am I correct, or what I believe?
Yeah, that's yeah, from the technical perspective, that's correct. It is about having a multi-chain wallet. So there's lots of technical challenges that come with doing that. But we're up for the challenge because we see that the future of NFTs in the crypto space is very, very much going to be, in my mind anyway, is very much going to be layer 2, cross-chain applications. So everyone's building some great applications on lots of different chains. There'll be bridges that'll be built that'll allow us to move tokens across chains. And I don't see that there's going to be a winner takes all environment, because a lot of the applications will start to diverse in terms of their use and the value that they bring to the people that actually use them. And so for us, it's really important that we stay chain agnostic and build a multi-chain solution.
Well, I'm interested from the user's perspective or fans' perspective. Have you already received a response from fans? Do they like the idea, or is it hard for them to use such a tool like an NFT from brand? Did they redeem it, changed on the beer glasses, and so on and so forth? What were their responses on that?
So we've had a couple of limited trials in small, closed groups, and it's really fascinating because a lot of the times the way that we've built the app so far is very much a custodial sort of solution. So we've tried to abstract a lot of that Web3 and the crypto NFT space away, the technology behind the app, and people just use it as they would any kind of token. So the customer experience is first and foremost for us, and they love it. And obviously one of the benefits that the blockchain brings us is the idea of a permissionless and a trustless environment to which to send and receive tokens. And part of the benefit and the beauty about what we're building is this idea that not only can you receive tokens, but you can also then send them to your friends and gift them forward. So that opens up a whole range of opportunities for brands. And it's one thing to sort of get given a token that you can redeem for something which gives you value, but then being able to, if you've got a couple of those tokens and your friend doesn't have one, being able to send those tokens to a friend and have them have the same experience as you is where we see them get really excited about what those opportunities are. So it's been great so far. Lots of learning still to do, but yeah, so far it's been really, really fun to watch people use it.
Well, in particular, if the token is redeemable, will it be burned? Will it be destroyed after redeem, or it will live forever and become a sort of collectible? Because these are tokens, they live forever. What's the scheme?
Yeah, so the way that we've built our system is that once the token's been redeemed on our end, it can't be redeemed again, but it can stay in your wallet if you choose. You can remove it from your wallet, which is the burn function. So if you don't want it sitting in there, you can decide to remove that token, and that will burn the token. But if you want to collect all of the redeemables that you want and have them sitting in your wallet, then that's fine too. Well,
because utilize NFTs, how do you see the potential of NFT as a tool? Because it's very powerful, unique, universal tool for any unique thing in a digital world and physical world and so on and so forth. How do you see NFT will have changed our life in, let's say, 5 or 10 years?
Well, I mean, I'm of the camp that everything that is, it's an interesting one. So I believe that membership and fan engagement will be entirely tokenized in the future. That it's inevitable, and what will happen is that your membership of any organization will become an NFT, will be tokenized, and with that token, then it will allow you and the brand to really explore a whole new environment of being, just exposed to this really new way of rewarding members for engaging and consuming with whatever it is that they do. I think a really great project that I've seen recently that's looking to do this is Steppen. And there's another one here in Australia called Pummel. And it's this idea of move to earn. And so you get your membership of Steppen in the form of a sneaker NFT, and then that allows you access to the Steppen platform. And then if you go on a run or a walk, you get rewarded in tokens, and then those tokens can be, redeemed for various utility or, just collected for their own right, or, and I see that kind of thing playing out across the entire space, particularly in sport and entertainment. And I think it's going to happen sooner rather than later. I think what we're going to see is more and more clubs, Chili's and the Socios platform is another one where they're tokenized fan engagement, not to the same utility aspect, I think, as what we're trying to explore, but definitely in a way that allows fans to become closer to the decisions of the clubs through tokenization. That's one aspect of it. This idea of a governance token, which allows you to really engage harder in club decisions. That's really exciting. And I just think in general that the tokenization of membership and of fan engagement is going to proliferate through everything. And I don't think you'll be able to escape it, because once I think I think when the clubs and the brands understand the power of incentives that can be done through tokenization and how you can engage fans and get them to really, really become part of that strong community, we're going to see more and more ideas built on top of that. So it's a completely transformational technology for me, and I'm really, really excited about what we can do with it, and then what everyone else is doing with it too.
Yeah, really, I'm totally agree with you. When I'm looking on my NFT section in my crypto wallet, I didn't see if you see, you don't see. Nonetheless, here I am seeing now. But this is one of the most interesting section in my cryptocurrency wallet. I use another word which supports NFT, and I look into NFT section more oftenly than just into the balance of other cryptocurrencies for checking their value for now. And a lot of NFTs are in this section: NFT tickets, documents, my domain name and NFT space, and so on and so forth. It's really interesting. I totally agree that in the communication between brands or providers or producers via NFT with fans, there's a huge potential niche for NFT in the future, and it will be totally changed because NFTs are very easy to store with it, to create. Every marketer, every marketing attempt will be connected with NFT soon in 10 years, perhaps. So another question from our side, Dave. It's a professional question from our team, and by the way, greetings for Jonathan, who introduced you to me. He is very excited with this episode. The envelope is the protocol for making wrapping NFT. So if you're not familiar with the concept, I will explain. It's quite simple. It allows to use NFT as a sort of major container for any crypto assets. You may put any crypto assets inside NFT, adds to this NFT specific functionality such as on-chain royalties, rental mechanism, time, value, event logs, and so on and so forth. And I would love to ask you, how do you see, is that concept useful for studies purposes, but maybe be useful for studies purposes? How do you see?
Yeah, I've been thinking about this one a little bit. And it wasn't something that I had considered early on, but after, I think, mulling on it a bit and thinking it over, I definitely see that there's some really, really exciting things that you could potentially do, particularly around time locking. That's one mechanism which kind of really excites me about putting a bunch of tokens or a bunch of assets into a wrapper that gets unlocked at a certain time. And then, what that could sort of do in terms of incentivizing people holding certain NFTs for long periods, or I just think that there's a lot of use cases there which could be explored for brands to be able to bundle up assets. Essentially, what does a membership look like for a big sporting event? Can you wrap a whole bunch of NFTs into a wrapper and call it a ticket? And then once that person accesses that ticket, unwrap the NFTs, and they've got a whole bunch of assets in there, whether it's coins, collectibles, whatnot. And then that's at their disposal for that particular game. And that's just in terms of the time locking, but obviously the other functionality that I think can come along with wrapped NFTs is really exciting too. And I think the more that we understand how our brands want to engage fans and what the fans actually enjoy engaging with and playing with in terms of the NFT space and what they want and what they expect, I think you'll find that definitely a wrapped NFT will play a role in there at some point. So I'm definitely looking forward to exploring that a little bit further and seeing if there's any possibilities there.
Yeah, I agree. Perhaps we should connect you and talk to a bit later, because we have a very powerful tool in all this Web3 stuff. We don't need we need to go beyond selling digital GPEX in form of NFT, because we have a set of tools to create programming value, programming money, all these DeFi stuff and so on and so forth. It's totally powerful to empower and to change all the processes we've been doing for decades in our life and business. So let's go beyond. Stop gaming and let's creating the programming value features. So Dave, a couple things about Stadius. Where is Stadius on its roadmap now? When launch, if I'm not mistaken, you don't showcase on your website that you're launched, if I'm not mistaken, or just correct me if I'm mistaken. And what's the team behind Stadius? Are you hiring? What do you want to say about that?
Yeah, so in terms of our roadmap, we're actually we're in proof of concept phase at the moment. So we have got a test flight app that we are testing currently, and we're putting it through its paces and ensuring that sort of our idea around the ease of redemption of NFTs is actually executable and works for the fan and for the brand and drives the value that we think it will. And so far, that's going really well. We're in the testing phase for a couple more weeks where we iron out those sort of the bugs, obviously, that comes with any sort of first launch. From there, we're currently a two-man team. So there's myself and Rick Conti, who's my co-founder for Stadius. He's heading up the business side and I'm heading up the product side. We have a development team that we're working with here in Australia to execute that for us in terms of the development. And then what we're sort of in terms of the roadmap, we're actually about to redesign our website and have an entire roadmap, which we're really excited about. So in the next month or two, financial year 20 this year, so what's it now? It's May. So probably by the time this podcast comes out, I'm not sure what your release schedule is like, but we'll be close to releasing the new website for July, hopefully. And then that will have a lot more details around the launch of Stadius. We're aiming to have a product in the market ready to download around January 2023 in conjunction with a couple of major events here in Australia. So we're targeting some quite major events with our brand partners to execute on. So we want the onboarding phase to be really nice and clear and nice and easy for people to download, set up a Stadius wallet and start collecting tokens. And then so that'll happen sort of late 2022 with a launch early 2023. In terms of, I guess, the overall roadmap of what we want to do is the redeemables will be first on the list. So once we execute the redeemables, we'll then start to build the collectible side of things and look to how we build the Ethereum sort of EVM compatible NFTs into the mix, which will be another sort of stage of development. And then hopefully we'll have sort of those EVM compatible NFTs within early 2023. But this will all be where we're still working out the entire details of that, just with how our brand partners want to execute. But yeah, hopefully stay tuned because the website will get a refresh and an update with lots more detail within a couple of months.
Well, regarding brands, I'd love to ask you, do you work with just the local brands who have been around you, around the local audience, or you may have onboarded any brands in the world? No, I think the first case, because fans should be connected with brands locally, and they can be so far. Or what's the concept?
Yeah, so it's a challenge because we need to work with three areas concurrently. So we need to onboard brands, fans, but then also venues and areas where you can redeem these tokens. So initially it'll start in the local area where we're going to target Southeast Queensland here. So brands that people know well that are sponsoring teams and clubs here in Southeast Queensland. but then also the venues that form the network and the ecosystem where the tokens are redeemable. We're going to start onboarding them over the next 3 or 4 months. And so once we have a network and an ecosystem where we can close the loop on the rewards and put that through its paces, we'll get an idea of how we can scale that from a local area to a state area to national. And then we're lucky enough that through our brand partners, we do have access to global brands. And then once the technology, I think, is up to speed, there's no reason why we can't take this global at some point when we're ready to scale. So I think that's the beauty about brands, particularly in the sport and entertainment space. Heineken is a global brand that we do work with locally here, but that also have a global footprint and activate at the biggest sporting events around the world. So we're looking forward to seeing how that works.
Well, I think you won't be experiencing the lack of potential brands to onboard because, well, a lot of thousands or perhaps hundreds of brands are around you. Okay, so finally, Dave, I am confident that you do understand that you, with your team, you've been deciding, you've been solving a top-level task. You've been onboarding people from Web 2 realm to Web 3 realm. And this is a general task. This is your mission. And the onboarding requires learning, and the best learning is trying to connect people with something from Web 3 or an NFT. This is the first thing, the first entry point. So how would you suggest to learn Web3 beyond having an NFT in a wallet? What to read, what to learn, what to listen, what is perhaps your favorite path to constantly learning about Web3?
I love podcasts and I love YouTube. So I think whenever I talk to my friends about Web3, I think because Web3 has such broad application, it's always nice to onboard them in a way that they're familiar with, whether it's, if they're into gaming, what's some Web3 applications that are coming out in gaming, and there's plenty of those that are happening. If they're into music, what's some Web3 applications that are starting to creep into the music industry that you can point them to? And really looking at their passion points and what they love to do already. And then seeing what's out there, who's building. There's so much being built at the moment. It's really, really exciting. And pointing them in the way of those projects and then seeing if they, resonate with that. Because ultimately, there's been, a lot of, I guess, if you're into crypto and into Web3 and NFTs, you can go as deep as you want. There's so much material out there now from the Bankless podcast, for example, that's exploring DeFi and now exploring NFTs. There's lots of other podcasts that sort of cross over there. Gary V's obviously got a great podcast. Yourself are doing a podcast. So there's a lot of content that's there. And I think if it's applicable to you and your passions, you'll find something that gives you a hook and that you want to explore. And you think, yeah, that's going to change my industry. And that's going to change things, that I'm passionate about. And I think that's the best place to put people. So at the start, it's a talk and it's an education, but quite quickly, I think people get that sort of, they get red pilled, which is a good term that I like to use. They get red pilled into crypto or red pilled into NFTs. And then once you're in and you see the opportunity and see the possibilities, it's very, very hard to get out of that rabbit hole. So yeah, but starting with something that you're passionate about, I think is the key.
Thank you for mentioning Bankless Podcast. I'm a huge fan of David Hoffman and Ryan Schnems. These guys been doing a lot of great content. I am totally excited how they've been doing. They work so hard on an everyday basis. They are my heroes, my personal heroes. I do understand what is to make content, and I do understand how hard they are going, because they are the pioneers. They are the media. They are, I would say, NFT or media DAO. They call them media DAO. So, Dave, finally, how to become the part of Stadius community? What's the best way to join, to follow, and to become a user of in the future or to connect with you at the brand, what should they do to become the part of Stadius?
Yeah, I think I mentioned that we're relaunching our website in a couple of months, which will be really exciting. Stadius.io is where you can find that. At the same time, we're sort of building our approach in terms of our community side of things. So we don't have a Discord server yet, simply because I'm in Discord a lot and it sucks a lot of my time up. So I haven't sort of gone down the road of launching a Discord server yet, but that is part of the roadmap. We've got a Twitter account that you can follow, which is at Stadius Official. So you can find us on there for some updates. But I think, and then you get in touch with me, obviously through Stadius.io and email me. So for any brands that are listening, get in touch. Would love to have a chat about, I guess, their objectives in the NFT and Web3 space. And then for anyone who's excited about the platform and potentially, using that and redeeming and earning rewards, stay tuned to the website, and then also the upcoming Discord channel and Discord server and Twitter. So that's where we're at for now.
Well, bonus question. If I'm not mistaken, I was carefully searching for your resources. You are a musician too, a guitarist. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yes.
I am the guitarist too. How long have you been playing? What styles? Heavy metal, hard rock? What do you want to say about your music hobby?
I've been playing music for a long time. So I was in plenty of bands. In my early years in high school, I was in a lot of bands, and then it was something that I did want to sort of chase, but unfortunately that musician dream didn't quite get there for me. But I'm really lucky to play in a couple of bands now. I play drums, I play guitar. I was really lucky to learn piano as a kid. And so I've got sort of a well-rounded, I guess, not a virtuoso in anything, but I just love to play. And there's a couple of projects I'm in here on the Gold Coast, and we've got some gigs coming up, which I'm really looking forward to. And I get behind the kit, and it's hard rock and heavy metal, because sometimes these days in the offices and dealing with Web3 all day, you just need to get some of those frustrations out. So it's always good to hit the kit as hard as I can sometimes.
Amazing. Next time we should talk about how NFT will change the music industry, because there's a lot of potential to use NFT and the entertainment industry, but that's going to be another story. So such a versatile people have been walking into Web3 space, dear ladies and gentlemen. So please like, subscribe, and share, and join Stadius and be the part of this Web3 movement. Dave Heavyside, the co-founder and head of product of Stadius, and Eugene Crypto MC from ENVELOP. Over with you. Thank you for watching and listening to this episode of the ENVELOP Podcast. Please join our resources, join our Telegram chat, subscribe on our YouTube channel, and become the DAO ENVELOP ambassador if you are the Web3 fan, and use NFT, because NFTs, this is sort of value all of us will be soon having in their cryptocurrency wallet alongside with any other cryptocurrency. We will be paying with cryptocurrency for any stuff in the world. We'll be having NFTs as the membership signs or whatever you like from the marketing perspective. This has been very extremely educational episode for all of us from the marketing perspective. Thank you very much, Dave. Thanks for joining me, and stay tuned for next episodes of the ENVELOP Podcast. Bye-bye.